Good morning, everyone. Live via Facebook is streaming and also via a Skype group. Each one of you is welcomed to this morning's session. Unawareness, the root cause of everything that we face, for which we do not have any answer. What is unawareness? Unawareness is to be in the mind. Unawareness is to be identified with the mind, to think that I am the mind is unawareness. And the moment you know mind is the only mechanism, just as the body is, to know that mind is separate is awareness. The night comes, followed by the morning, but you do not get identified with either night or the day or any of the two. You do not say, I am night. Also, you do not say, I am morning. The night comes, the morning comes, the day comes, again night follows, and the wheel goes on moving. But you remain alert that you are none of these things. You are separate. The same is the case with the mind. Anger comes, but you forget. In that forgetfulness, you are identified with anger. Greed comes in, again you forget, and you become identified. You become embodiment of greed. Hate comes, you forget, and you become hate. This is unawareness. Awareness, on the contrary, is watching that mind is full of greed, full of anger, full of hate, full of lust. But you are simply watching it. You are a witness to all that is happening within. Then you can see greed arising, becoming a great dark cloud, then disappearing, and you remain untouched. How long can you remain? Your anger is momentary. It comes in a moment. Your greed is momentary. But the after effect remains for a longer period of time. Your lust too is momentary. Just watch a little and you will be surprised. It comes and then goes and disappears. You are remaining there, unaffected, cool and calm. I have heard there was a great king. He followed a Sufi mystic. So one day he requested the mystic to give him something in writing, a maxim, a sutra, any kind of thing that will help him in every possible situation, good, bad, which would help him in success and in failure, in life and in death. The Sufi gave him a ring and told him there is a message inside the ring. Whenever you are really in need, in a real emergency, when you do not seem to have any way out, only then open the ring, lift the diamond, and there you will find the message. This is not to be done out of curiosity. Only when there is a real danger which you cannot face on your own and you need my help, you can see the message, not otherwise. Many times the king became curious, what is inside there? But he resisted the temptation. He had given his promise to the master that he was a man of his words. He will not look at the message out of curiosity. It happened, time passed on. After 10 years, he was attacked by the neighboring king and was defeated. He has to run for survival and for his life. He ran into the forest, into the mountains, but the enemy was always following him. He could hear the horses coming closer and closer. It was as if the death was coming closer. They could capture him and kill him anytime. As far as his kingdom was lost, the family got dispersed. That was okay. They could kill him, but he was going as fast as he could on his horse. Tired he was. Tired was his horse. Wounded he was. So too wounded was his horse. And then suddenly he came to a cul-de-sac. The way ended. There was an abyss, but there was no possibility of turning back because enemy was closing in, at every moment coming closer. He could not take the jump into the abyss because that would mean sure death. Except for waiting there was nothing for him to do. Suddenly he remembered the ring. He remembered the message of the master that when there is no possibility, no solution on your own, only then open the ring. He pondered that this is a situation when I have no solution to do anything. He opened the ring, removed the diamond. Inside was a piece of paper. On that piece of paper, just a simple message was there, a single line. The message was a single line. Message always comes in very short. It is never long. It is never a sermon. Message is very precise. So precise that you wonder if this is a message. And as he read it, It was written, "This too will pass away." Existence is very wise. Every circumstance and situation that you find, you do not have a solution. You do not have a way out. That too will pass. The message that was written on the small piece of paper was, "This too will pass away." And suddenly a great calmness descended on him. It was an assurance. It infused new life force into him. Remember, whatever is inside that can take you to infinite horizon. Have you seen a balloon? Balloon has outer skin and it has a space within. You can take the two balloons, fill with one with air and the other with the air that is lighter than oxygen. The two balloons looking identical. The one that is filled with air within will remain just like that, it cannot fly. The one that is nitrous oxide, I guess, is the gas, or whatever is the gas that is used in the balloons, and the other which is filled with that gas, it is flying high and waiting for an opportunity to be released from your hand. The moment it is released from your hand, you cannot capture it. It just goes higher and higher. What is inside you that can take you beyond, then that can make you blissful? So when he got this message, "This too pass away," suddenly a great calmness descended on him. He murmured, "This too will pass away." What a simple message, yet very profound. And it happened exactly like that. He was hearing those noises coming closer because there was fear in him. But by and by, he started hearing them going farther away. They had taken a wrong turn. He had passed a crossroad. They must have moved on the other side to some other road. He remained and meditated. He gathered his armies, got hold of some of his soldiers and gathered his army, fought the enemies again, and won back his kingdom. He was received with great joy, garlanded, flowers showered, the whole capital decorated for his welcome. Suddenly he felt a great ego arising in him. Again he remembered the message. This too will pass away. And as this message popped up and the ego disappeared. And all those garlands and all that welcome became just a child's play. In failure it helped. In success it helped. That became his meditation and the secret message as well. So whatsoever would come, he would simply repeat deep down, not verbally. But the feeling would be there in his heart, a sensation, a deep pulse. The message became his heartbeat, the very life force in him. This too will pass away. If you can remember it, then whatsoever comes into your mind, you remain this simply a witness. This too will pass away. That witnessing that comes to you through this message, this too will pass, is awareness. But we are identified with something else. We become greed, we become anger, we become lust. Whatsoever comes in front of us, we become identified with that. It is as foolish as when it happens to every small child. Have you tried it? Just put a mirror in front of a small child. He will look into the mirror, very surprised, with wide open eyes. He will look. He wonders, who is this person in the mirror? He will try to catch hold of him, but he cannot catch hold of the person. And then, if the child is intelligent, he goes to the back of the mirror. Maybe the child is hiding behind the mirror just as we do. He is not yet aware that it is only a mirror and there is no reality. This is your situation. Mind is only a mirror. It reflects the crowd of the world. It reflects all that happens around in the world. World means your world. Somebody insults you, anger arises. It is a reflection. Somebody beautiful passes by, it reflects again as lust on the mirror of your mind, and you immediately get identified with it. Keep a little distance, and then slowly and slowly you will find that this distance goes on growing. One day the mind is so far away that it cannot affect you at all. This is coming home. This is Buddhahood. This is Es Dhammo Sanantano. Indeed, this is the inexhaustible law of life. If you can be a witness, you will be able to pass through great transformation. You will come to know your real self. You go on doing the things unaware of what you are doing. You go on asking for things, unaware what are you asking for. In one of the sutra, Nanak says, Akhai mangai dehi dehi dati kare datar. He is so benevolent and kind, bountiful. He goes on giving you even without your asking. Yet still you go on praying. Give me this. Every prayer, when it takes place in the Sikh temple Gurdwara, the person who conducts you in the prayer, he asks for health, wealth and prosperity. Data ji ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇ ਰੋਗਿਤਾ ਬਖਸ਼ਣਾ ਜੀ. O Master, grant him the good health. His daughter has appeared in the examination. Data ji ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ अच्छे mark dilana ji, get the good marks to him. Unconsciously we go on asking. Unaware of what are you doing, you go on asking for things. Unaware what you are asking for. If all your desires are fulfilled, you will be more miserable man in the world. It is good that all are not fulfilled. The really religious person never asks for anything from God. Instead he says, let thy will be done. Thy kingdom come. Is a great statement. When it says, let thy will be done, I know not what is good for me and what is not. Let thy will be done. And when it says this next statement, next part, thy kingdom come. What is thy kingdom? Thy kingdom is bliss. Thy kingdom is harmony. Thy kingdom is oneness, that we are part of this and this cosmic harmony. Because what I ask, I will ask out of my unawareness. Whatever I ask is going to be wrong, because I will ask out of my greed, out of my unconsciousness. He asks for only one thing. Let thy will be done. Let thy will be done, and thy kingdom of bliss, thy kingdom of harmony and oneness come. Be meditative and be prayerful. Remember these two sutras, the great principles. This too will pass away. This will help you to meditate. And the second sutra is, thy will be done. The moment you say, thy will be done, it will help you to be prayerful. The first will help you to meditate, and the second will help you to be prayerful. And when meditation and prayer meet together, you are at the highest peak of consciousness possible. You are embodiment of meditation and prayer, and you are prayerful. Meditation has led you to the state of being prayerful. This too will pass away. is meditation, one wing, one feet, and thy will be done. The moment this becomes your watchword, you are prayerful every moment. You are not seeking. Instead, you are thankful for all that happens, all that comes to you, and you reach to the highest peak of consciousness. Then you can be in the moment. And the moment you are in the moment, you are beyond the mind. Because mind lives either in the past or it lives in the future. It cannot be in the present, this very moment. It is absolutely impossible for mind to be in this very moment. What do you mean by this very moment? You can take a simple example. You happen to get a cup of coffee. This coffee that is in front of you is the only thing that will give you satiation. It will give you a taste. As the cup of the coffee is brought in front of you, just imagine what kind of conversation you get into. You start saying that the last time when we went to the other place, the coffee was very good. But that coffee cannot give you a satiation. That is a memory. And memory is of the past. It cannot help you. This is mind. You are thinking. You have moved away from the past, moved away from this moment to the past. You can think about the past. Past has already become part of your memory. The mind can work it out, and it always does. You can think about the future. It is not yet there, but the mind can dream about it. Mind can dream about the future, and mind can work it out, bring from the archives of the past. Mind can do two things. Either it can move into the past. Certainly there is enough space to move. The vast space of the past. You can go on and on. Every time this person does so, for how long he had been eluding me. The mind has enough space to move. Or mind can move into the future. Once again, there is a vast space with no end to it. The dreaming has no end. It's an infinite space. You can go on and on imagining and dreaming till the end of the eternity, and there will be no end to your dreaming. But how can mind remain in this precise moment, can function in the moment? It has no space for mind to make any movement. Present is just a dividing line and nothing else. It has no space. It divides the past and the future, and it exists just as a dividing line. You can be in the present, but you cannot think about it. For thinking space is needed. Just as in order for the movement, you need a space for the movement. Thoughts need a space because they are just like things. Thoughts are subtle things. They are immaterial. They are not spiritual. Because the dimension of spiritual starts only when there is no thought. Spirituality, good thoughts are not spiritual. Where all that material, the thoughts, the music, this and that comes to an end. That's where the realm of the unknown and unknowable begins. Thoughts are material things, very subtle. And every material thing needs a space. You cannot be thinking in the present. The moment you start thinking, it is already the past. You see the sun is rising. You see and you tell someone, what a beautiful sunrise. It is already gone in the past. When the sun is rising, there is not even a single space enough to say how beautiful. Because the moment you say these two words, how beautiful, the experience has already become the past. Mind already knows it in the memory. But somebody, when you tell the sun is beautiful, so what? I already know that sun is always beautiful. Sunrise is always beautiful. Why should I get up from the bed to come and watch the sunrise? I had watched it many times. I can watch it on my laptop. I have many images of sunrise, beautiful pictures. The experience has already become past. The mind already knows it in the memory. But exactly when sun is rising, exactly when the sun is on the rise, how can you think? And what can you think about it? You can be it. You can be with the rising sun, but you cannot think about it. For you there is enough space, but not for thoughts. You see a beautiful flower in the garden, and then immediately you pick up the phone to tell your friend, what a beautiful rose flower I had just seen. I will mail you the image. I will mail you the image. Now you are not with the rose flower this moment. It is already a memory. When the flower is there, you are there, both present to one another. How can you think? And what can you think? How is thinking possible? Thinking is possible only when there is not, you are not with the flower. You moved away from the flower. There is no space for it. The space is very narrow. In fact, there is no space at all that you and the flower can exist together. There is not enough space for two. Only one can exist. And if seeing the flower, thinking begins, then it is part of the past. That is why in a deep presence, you become the flower. You are the flower and the flower becomes you. Both you and the flower or thoughts in the mind. When there is no thinking, who is the flower and who is the one who is observing? The observer becomes the observed. Suddenly all boundaries vanish. You have penetrated into the flower and the flower has penetrated into you. Suddenly you are not two, only one exists. In that moment, what Hindus call Advait happens. The two do not exist. You are non-dual. If you start thinking, you have become two again. If you do not think, duality does not exist. When you exist with the flower not thinking, it is a dialogue, not dialogue, but a dialogue. When you exist with your lover, it is a dialogue, not a duologue, because the two are not there. And you remember one thing, 1 + 1 is never 2. You had been taught mathematically 1 + 1 is 2. It is never. Because God has never created identical thing, everything that exists is unique. Two unique things cannot be added. A man enters the room followed by a woman and you say there are two persons. No, one man and one woman. And even if two men are there, both of them are unique. And only the identical things can be added. When you are adding, you have a set of coins and you want to add. You put the quarters separate, then the dimes. You do not mix the quarter and dimes. Quarter has to be counted with quarter and the dimes have to be counted with dimes. The no two are ever identical. They cannot be added. So 1 + 1 is never 2. It remains as it is, 1 + 1. That's the most I can say, 1 + 1. How many people are there? 1 + 1. If you start thinking, you have become 2 again. If you do not think, duality does not exist. When you exist with flower not thinking, it is a dialogue, not a duologue. Sitting by the side of your lover, holding the hands, you simply exist. You do not think of the days gone by. Also, you do not think of the future coming. You are here now. And it is so beautiful to be here now, so intense that no thought can penetrate this intensity. And narrow is the gate of the present. Not even two can enter into it. Kabir says, Prem gali ati sakri. The love lane is very narrow, two cannot exist together. In the present, thinking is not possible, dreaming is not possible, because dreaming is nothing but thinking in pictures. Dreaming is nothing but thinking in pictures. Both are things and both are materialistic. When you are in the present moment without thinking, you are for the first time spiritual. When you are in the present moment without thinking, for the first time you are spiritual, a new dimension opens. And that dimension is the dimension of awareness. You have not known that dimension before. It is a taste of the dimension of awareness. Heraclitus says that you are asleep and you are not aware. Awareness means to be in the moment so totally that there is no movement towards the past or the future. All movements have ceased. That does not mean you become static. A new movement starts. It is indeed a movement in depth. You are not moving on the surface. There are two types of movement, and that is the meaning of Jesus' cross. It shows two movements, a crossroad. One movement is linear. You move in a line from one thing to another, from one thought to another, from one dream to another dream. From A you move to B, and B to C, and C to D. This is the way you move in a horizontal straight line, remaining on the surface. This is the movement of time. This is the movement of the one who is asleep. You can go like a shuttle back and forth, the line is there. You can come from B to A. You can go from A to B. The line is there and the movement is linear. There is yet another movement which is totally different, which is of totally different dimension. That is the movement. That movement is not horizontal, it is vertical. You do not go from A to B, from B to C. Instead, you go from A to a deeper A, from A1 to A2, A3, and A4 in depth or in height. When thinking stops, the new movement starts. Now you fall into depth. You are in the abyss-like, you are in an abyss-like phenomenon. People who are meditating deeply, they come to that point sooner or later. When they become afraid because they feel that as if the abyss has opened a bottomless abyss, you become afraid. You would like to cling to the old movement because it was known and it feels like death. That is the meaning of Jesus' cross. It is death. Going from horizontal to the vertical is death. Indeed, that is the real death. A movement from horizontal to vertical. That is why cross is a symbol of journey into death. A movement from horizontal to vertical. But it is death only from one side, and on the other side it is resurrection. It is dying to be reborn. It is dying from one dimension to be born in another dimension, from the horizontal to the vertical. Horizontal you are. Jesus is vertical. Horizontal you are Jesus. Vertical you become Christ. Horizontal is the human element and vertical is the Son of God. You move from one thought to another. You remain in the world of time. If you move into the moment, not into thought, you move into eternity. Then you are not static, and nothing is static in this world. Nothing can be static. Instead, a new movement, a movement without motivation. Remember these two words. On the horizontal line, you become motivation. On the horizontal line, you become motivation. You have to achieve something, money, prestige, power, or God. But you have to achieve something. A motivation is there. A motivated movement means sleep. And an unmotivated movement means awareness. You move because to move is a sheer joy. To move because movement is life. You move because life is energy and energy is movement. You move because energy is delight and not for anything else. There is no goal attached to it. You are not after some achievement. In fact, you are not going anywhere. You are not going at all. You are simply delighting in this energy. There is no goal outside the movement. Indeed, movement has its own intrinsic value, but no extrinsic value. A Buddha also lives, a Heraclitus lives, Jesus lives, and here I am living, breathing, but a different type of movement, totally unmotivated, is the cause and the way. This movement, totally unmotivated, is the cause and the way, nothing else. This is it for this morning. Until tomorrow, take care and do have a pleasant day.